everybody. We're going to be talking about, there we go. We're going to be talking about blockchain domains, NFTs with a real-world use case. But first, let's do quick intros. Andrew, if you want to start.
Hi, I'm Andrew Horn. I'm a lead developer at People Browser, and we build Cred and CoinCred, which you've been hearing about all day.
Hi, I'm Ray King. I'm the CEO of Top Level Design. We are the registry for .design, .inc, .ink, .wiki, and as of last week, we were granted the license to run .gay as well.
I'm Brad. I am co-founder of Unstoppable Domains. We are building domains on blockchains. And what we were hoping to do today was kind of give you some background. This is sort of a big field, but as a place to start, maybe to explain a little bit about how a non-blockchain based domain name works. If you would just give us a quick little bit, right?
Sure. Yeah, so basically, so I represent the old guard, right? And when you buy a domain today, you typically go to a registrar like maybe GoDaddy or Network Solutions, and they, as a registrar, would go to the registry for that top-level domain. So if it's a .com name, they go to VeriSign. If it's a .org name, they go to PIR. And the registry would authoritatively tell them if the name is available or not. And if it is, then you'd be able to register the name. And the way these companies get the right to do that is via the policy-making body, ICANN. ICANN, I-C-A-N-N, is the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. And back in 1985 or so, you had ComNet.org, EDU, and a few others. And then over the years, there have been some additional top-level domains which have been added to the root zone, such as .biz, .info, .nyc, as you see here, and as well also the country codes, which are always 2 letters, .fr for France, .kr for Korea, that type of thing. And in the last round, which was open in 2012, we got in with our TLDs, and other companies did the same.
Cool. So the traditional domain system is essentially based on approvals with a international governing body, ICANN. But to just give some definitions for what a blockchain-based domain name is, a blockchain-based domain name is one where the registry is a set of smart contracts that exists on a blockchain. So if you want to buy a domain, you are interacting directly with that registry smart contract on a blockchain. And I guess the unique features about a blockchain-based domain name are 2. One is they act as payment addresses, and 2 is they are censorship resistant. So the first use case, payments, one of the big areas where I think blockchain-based domains are going to make a big impact is on cryptocurrency payments. So right now, if I want to pay you, you need to tell me your 41-character Ethereum address or your Bitcoin address or whatever. And in the future, all you will need to tell me is your blockchain-based domain name, and you will associate all of your cryptocurrency addresses to your blockchain-based domain name, and that's all I'll need to know. So I'll be able to just type that into a wallet or whatever, and now I have a human-readable name. That's use case number 1. Use case number 2 is around censorship-resistant websites. So the biggest thing that I would say that's different about a blockchain-based domain name versus a traditional domain name is that you control the domain asset via the private keys in your wallet. And what this means is that no one can take it from you. And in the traditional world, the registrars, like GoDaddy and others, are the ones that control the custodians of your domain asset. And they are subject to court orders, to the whims of the public. Many sites have been deplatformed over the past year or two in the United States, essentially as a result of political controversies. So in this new paradigm, you will control your own domain asset. You will point whatever information you want to it, and you can have a censorship-resistant domain. So that's sort of the blockchain-based domain name side of things, kind of big picture. Maybe kind of how it gets down on the ground floor. And how people are actually starting to use these things. I'd turn it over to Andrew.
Yeah, so it's kind of appropriate that I'm sitting in the middle here. We got the blockchain over here and sort of the old guard to my left, because we also own a TLD. We own the .cred TLD. But we've always been very focused on making your .cred domain the focus of your identity on the internet. So you can go there and you can add your social accounts, and you can get your feed and activity there, and you can interact with all your things there. And with coin.cred now, we're bringing this NFT space into your domain area. So the blockchain-based domains are great for us too. We've just rolled out an integration with ENS, which means that your .cred domain, you can set it up so you can use that as a payment address. And most of the wallets, MetaMask and a few others, already support the ENS resolution service. So you can already go to, send me money on Ethereum by just going rt.cred, and there it is. It's my wallet. That's all you need to know. And it's much easier to hand that over to somebody than the 41 characters that you need. And especially with the if you screw up an Ethereum transaction, that's it. It's gone. If you put the wrong address in, you're never getting that back. Having a nice little short name, huge asset to the users.
Great. Maybe one other thing I'll call out, just because people are curious about the assets in general. The traditional domain industry, the overall value of all domain assets is estimated to be between $10 billion and $100 billion. And these are digital assets already. So this is a digital asset class that already exists that's massive. And we're already starting to see some early examples of blockchain-based domain names that are getting high numbers too. So .eth, the Ethereum naming service, did $30 million of registrations in their first year. If you were an ICANN approved TLD and you did $30 million in your first year, you'd be a rock star. That's kind of all I had. If there's any kind of other notes you all might wanted to throw out there before we go over questions.
Sure. Yeah, so Andy, you're talking about layering on blockchain functionality on existing ICANN accredited TLDs like .cred, and Brad, you're talking about birthing something outside the ICANN process. And I'll preface this by saying that I am innately biased towards the current system, because we have a huge investment, obviously, in the 4 TLDs that we've already gone to auction for and had to win, et cetera. And if all of a sudden anyone can release a TLD by themselves and just gain public adoption, that wouldn't be great. That said, I don't think I'm being unbiased when I say that is a unbelievably large mountain to scale. Many people have tried to do what we term in the industry as alternate routes. So in other words, there is one root name server at the top, which contains one entry for .com, one for .net, one for .design, et cetera, and it's authoritative. And it's then propagated throughout all the other root name servers, which is how you resolve anytime you go to a website. And the idea that there could be a way to get something into the traditional DNS system without going through the ICANN process is basically heresy in our industry. Because the problem is that if someone else goes and you put out a .gobbledygook, then how do you deal with name collision? What if someone else puts out .gobbledygook, or what if someone else applies to the ICANN process and gets the same name? So I think this issue about collision is kind of a fundamental issue in the application process. And then secondarily, how do you get adoption? So if you do put something out there, then you've got to get the browsers either to make a modification, or you get plugins, you got to get the ISPs working, you got there's so many pieces of the puzzle, all the mail clients, there's just 1,000 things to get a domain name working. So it just seems like a very, very high mountain to scale, and not to be a total negative Nelly on this.
Yeah, I think these are really important points, and I think that the challenge that Ray called out there is a big one. So if you are part of the traditional ICANN system, then you are going to get access to certain things, like you'll be resolved in browsers, like actually I guess that's sort of the biggest one, that, and you'll be able to connect email and things like that. With a purely blockchain-based domain name system, you will not necessarily get those features on day one. You'll get these new features, which are payments and censorship resistance, but you won't get the tried and true features that make it easy to use websites. So basically, for us, what we're having to do is we're having to go to browsers and we're building like a Chrome plugin so that people can resolve these websites through those means. But it means that the websites will not work in every application, at least in the short term. I think this is a pretty critical user experience problem that remains to be solved.
Yeah, that's where we're lucky. Because we have the blockchain solution and the traditional ICANN solution, all we've got to worry about is keeping them synchronized with each other. We don't have to worry about namespace collisions with ourselves. Right. So, yeah, we've got a bit of an advantage there. We don't have to worry about making it work for everybody, as long as it works for us.
And I guess I will be the contrarian on stage here and say that I do believe that the blockchain tools will eventually be able to do all of the things that the current system does and more. But I think that is definitely further down the road. I think for now, the things that are really easy for for blockchain-based domain names are things like payments, and then the actual website uses are not as seamless right now.
Do you see, Brad, if I can ask you a question, do you see any way that maybe ICANN could move to the blockchain as a technical? I mean, I know it's a
I don't think so, because I think that the core thing they're offering is a policy review, meaning that they're saying, here's who we think should be able to build and launch this TLD. And by the way, as we're using this term TLD, that's to the right of the dot, like the .com, .biz, whatever. That's a TLD. I think that they, as a policy arm, that's sort of their core. And in the blockchain paradigm, there won't even be a review process. You'll just launch smart contracts on a blockchain, and there you go. There's your extension. And the kind of acceptance process will be more around getting applications to accept your registry and your smart contracts, rather than any one group of people deciding. And I don't think that group of people deciding has been, from conversations I've had in the traditional domain industry, that's not exactly a smooth or seamless process. They've actually stopped approving new TLDs and are not going to start again until, I believe, 2021 or something like that. So that's another reason why there's some sort of potential demand for blockchain-based domains, is because new extensions can't really launch right now.
Yeah, I think that's mostly true. It's been done in batches. So we're still resolving the 2012 batch. And one of the reasons was because there were a few that got stuck in the process. But anything that the ICANN process is not known for speed. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. Shall we take a question or two?
Yeah. Anybody have questions? I think there's a hand back there. I'm sorry, could you speak a little louder?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you could talk about a use case where the ICANN process has wrongfully censored. Like if that's the bread and butter, the adjudication process.
I see. So the question was around where ICANN has wrongfully censored, and I would actually say that ICANN is involved in approving new TLDs, but the censorship that I spoke about is happening on mostly on the registrar level, so like the GoDaddies of the world. And essentially what's happening is that because they are a custodian, and this isn't because they're evil, because they are a custodian, they have the power to take the domain away from you, which means that if they get a court order saying take this domain down, they need to honor it. So it's sort of a functional thing. It's similar to like, Coinbase's regular custodial wallet versus the Coinbase's new wallet, which is non-custodial. Like in one case, they can abide by that court order and hand over your money to the government, and in another case, they can't, regardless of what they would want.
Yeah, on that sort of idea, in Australia, we've got an internet filter brought in by our fabulous government just recently. And traditionally, that's the government produces court orders for ISPs to block access to infringing websites. And they usually do this by blocking the DNS entries. So if you've got an alternative DNS method to get to these websites, then the internet filter just doesn't work. So that's the anti-censorship sort of aspect of the blockchain base.
And there are a few different other points of censorship. I guess one more thing I would say about the custodial piece and the registrars is that it's not just about illegal activity. Companies and websites are being deplatformed due to popular public opinion. Even in the United States, this is true. It's not to say that they can't go and find a new registrar, but it is to say that they can be taken down by their registrar. So that's one area of censorship. I think another area which we don't touch as much, but we hope to plug in tools that will, is like your storage. So there have definitely been times where AWS has been told, go take down this content. And once we plug into decentralized storage solutions, then those options for censorship won't be available either.
Yeah, I think we're out of time, so
Thanks everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.